Hey, this is Dropping Soccer's morning show. It is Tuesday, therefore, ergo, it is Tuesday Thoughts. And we got a lot of different things to get into this morning. John, here, you there, Maddie Cruz on the ones and twos. Promo time before we get into opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. High school season kicks off tonight. The Tuesday night throwdown, as it was phrased. That is going to be tonight. We're going to start the Tuesday night throwdown. We got Tuesdays and Fridays. We do have some games on the in-between, and it's going to be another great season of us here with our high school soccer schedule. We're going to start things off today, doubleheader, 5:30, 7:30 on the network. Peachtree Ridge at Parkview. Bit of a homecoming for Maddie Cruz. We'll get into that as we get into the show and get into that as well. It is the 28th and final season of head coach Danny Clinette at Parkview. And so we'll see how his men's team, see how the boys respond after the scrimmage to Harrison. And we'll see how the two girls' sides go against each other. So it is Peachtree Ridge and Parkview, 5:30 with the girls. I'll have the call on that. Maddie will have the call for the boys at 7:30. That'll be on the network, and that kicks off our season. On Friday, doubleheader, it is Roswell at River Ridge, same times, and we'll have that on the network for you on Friday as well. Traffic for the week, looking forward to catching up with Dylan Butler tomorrow, as we always do. And tomorrow afternoon, we're going to tape an interview with Ella Stevens up at Gotham. So Gwinnett County to Gotham. We'll find out about what it's like to have a super team in the NWSL. So Ella Stevens, we're catching up with her for a 1v1. That'll be released tomorrow afternoon after the interview. Obviously, on Thursday, we'll catch up with our buddy Nico Moreno. And looks like we're going to be catching up with Jack Collison from Hunt City for about 10 minutes or so Thursday afternoon. We'll run that to run lead on the Friday morning show, and that'll be a good kickoff to that day. So it is the beginning of the high school soccer season here on SDH on Tuesday and on Friday. And we will obviously, we're looking forward to that. And we've got the schedule. We're building the schedule as we go and looking forward to seeing what's going on with all of that. All right. Other housekeeping things here. Morning, Alex. Morning, Dell. Morning, Tom. Yeah, Dell, I'm going to be, if you want to call what I do play-by-play on the radio. So, yeah, we'll be doing, Maddie will be doing it solo this week, and I'll be doing it solo this week as well, and we're going to flip-flop. So I'm going to do the girls on Tuesday. I'll do the boys, Roswell River Ridge on Friday. Maddie with her interview that she did in session, catching up with Mary Dessing. On the Roswell side, she'll do the girls and she'll do the boys today. So it'll be really interesting to catch up with that. Yes, Tom, we will discuss Kit Leak Gate, or just the Kit Leak in general, maybe not necessarily the gate. Morning, Abby. Abby has a piece of business. Now, the DMing or the emailing for the Marshall Islands scarves. Now, Abby has also come up with a form that you can fill out, and you can get everything all squared away as a part of the spreadsheet and everything and all of that. So DM us here at SDH or shoot us an email, soccerdownhere@gmail. You can do one of those two things, and you can start to pick up your Marshall Islands scarves. Once again, 32. If you want it shipped, it's an extra $5. If you want the Abstromobile to drop it by, it's straight up 32, and Abby's just going to do the rounds and everything like that. So DM SDH on the 280 character app. You could DM me or email us soccerdownhere@gmail. Then that way you can pick up your scarves. You can get your scarves, and we can get this moving and help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. You know, as Maddie is now an international superstar when it comes to fundraising campaigns, and so we'll catch up with our friends from the Marshall Islands. Justin Wally, 40 hours on a plane. He is now back home in England. And so we'll catch up with him, I think, next week, I think, is what the plan is. And we'll find out how things were with the first ever futsal cup that was there on the Marshall Islands. Great pictures and visuals and fantastic stuff that Justin was able to impart while he was there at Majuro on the Marshall Islands. So once again, DM me, DM the show, email the show, soccerdownhere@gmail. Any one of those three things, and we can figure out what in the wide world of sports you can do to help out the Marshall Islands. And I debated wearing my shirt this morning. I debated wearing the jersey as a part of the promotion, but go ahead and do it this way. What you can do is, once again, one more time, DM the show, DM me, soccer down here at Gmail. Those three things, you can get in touch with us. 32 each, 25 pounds, $32. And we can do the Venmo or the PayPal or whatever, however you want to swing it. But 32 is your flat rate fee. An extra $5 if you want it chipped. If you don't want it chipped, Abby takes care of it and she'll drop it on your doorstep or wherever you wish. Maybe she'll meet you for lunch, something like that. So that's how we do it. With that's what we're doing with the Marshall Islands. So once again, I'll try and post it in an intelligent form on the 280 character app as well. And so we'll figure out what the latest is there with that. Also, once again, as we blow through all of our early comments, the Hawks actually, the Hawks actually did. Yeah, they actually did. The form is for after you pay. Thank you. Okay. So that is so Abby knows where she's going. All right. Morning 4 card. And 4 card, it is 5:30 and 7:30. Girls at 5:30, boys at 7:30, and it's going to be separate broadcasts, just so you know. We're not going to be on the air for the entire time. So we'll do the girls game, come on a little early, do a bit of a pregame show, maybe a couple of minutes. Then we'll do the girls broadcast. Then we'll sign off, and then that'll get archived. And then we'll come on a little before 7:30, do the boys game, separate broadcast, and then that'll get archived. And so if you miss it live, you can go back and listen later. So 5:30, 7:30, girls and boys tonight. The Marshall Islands thing came about. I mean, Dell, we're all kind of, we all have this kind of shared romanticism, I guess. And I was messing around and you know me, chasing stories and all that kind of stuff, and came across this story. And I did, and I think a couple of others of us did as well, about, hey, this is the last country on the planet that doesn't have a men's national team, and they were trying to start it. And that was how we got paired up with Lloyd Hours. And then understanding in the dynamic about the Marshall Islands and how it is a part of American history and how it's a part of American military history, and learning and kind of leaning into the Marshall Islands story in and of itself outside of soccer and how it's a part of that larger picture. So, yeah, we're always story chasers here. And so we came across the Marshall Islands story and ended up with that. And so we've been walking with them throughout this whole thing. And like I said, they're looking to do some stuff later on in the year in Northwest Arkansas, up there in the Four Corners, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas. And they're looking to do some stuff up there in October. And so this is just our way to help make that happen, because there's nothing better than sharing something and being a part of something and helping, helping everybody embrace one another when it comes to something like this. But it is a part of a larger geopolitical picture, and it's a story that needs to be told on that end as well. But the bottom line is, growing the game and being the chance to grow the game as best we can, and to be able to do it with the Marshall Islands, with our friends there, with Matt and Lloyd and Justin Wally and everybody there. It's to tell a story about soccer, but it's also to tell a larger story about a nation that's overseen by the U.S. And you can do your digging, and so we're chasing this story there as well. So that's how the story kind of came to pass, and we're gonna keep an eye on it. So it'll be we're gonna keep an eye on it all. We've done some things, Del. We've done some Marshall Islands things before. So if you go into our library on Spreaker and you just do a Marshall Islands search, you can see all of the other interviews that we've done and catching up with. There was one that we did where I think it was me and Nick and Jarrett and Lloyd Hours, their technical director, and Justin Wally and and Matt, who are a part of communications and such all the way through. So, yeah, so we did like a 3v3 live on the air once, and they were in England and we were here. And so if you do a Marshall Islands search in our library, you'll see all the other interviews that we've done with them when it comes to the Marshall Islands. Okay, so opening kickoff is going to be a couple of different things this morning. Here's the rundown. We got opening kickoff. We got a couple of things to talk about. We got the kit leak, possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps. We've got the new information on Duncan McGuire. We've got some butt touching by some fans. After that, we'll get into the sound from Atlanta United and Athens on the weekend that we didn't have the chance to get into yesterday. We've got a bunch of stuff going on in the Premier League that is going on. Messi and friends. Lionel Messi actually got in front of a microphone, which is something he hasn't done domestically a whole lot. And he discussed what was going on in Hong Kong as they're getting ready for the match against Vissel Kobe, which will not be televised. The revolution from Messi and friends will not be televised in Japan. 5 a.m. Wednesday morning will not be televised. So apparently Iniesta's promotion or his PR firm is the one that's in charge of this particular match with Vissel Kobe. So they weren't just going to skip this one. It's not going to be televised, at least not to this part of the world. Apparently, because of the lack of production availabilities, the capabilities to actually produce a match. So not going to be produced. They're going to do a match. We just ain't going to see it. So we got Messi and friends to talk about, Duncan McGuire to talk about, butt touching to talk about, Mauricio Pochettino to talk about. There's some stupidity down here that's being addressed. Manchester United claim that they want their new version of Old Trafford to be the Wembley of the North. So we'll get into that too. So there's plenty to get into this morning. And if there's anything on your mind, drop it and we'll roll with it, because this is it is a news and information Tuesday. It's Tuesday thoughts, and whatever your thoughts are, nothing wrong with bringing them to the table and discussing things. So Tom drops in a note from our friend Fabrizio Romano, and yeah, it looks like Jesse Lingard's that much closer to being a player at Seoul FC. First part of the medicals completed, final part completed today ahead of his signature on Wednesday. 2-year deal in the next 24 hours if it goes all according to plan. So that's the next stage in Jesse Lingard's playing career. No, Del, it's not. It is not. Dell's asking, is it weird you want to hear Messi trying to speak English? No, it's not. I mean, you can listen to the Michelob Ultra commercial where he's with Jason Sudeikis, and he did it there. That'll be available on Super Bowl week. All right, so opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on either our YouTube channel, the Twitch pitch, or the 280 character app. Once again, Abby did a better job at piecing together a QR code than I ever could. So that's your QR code for our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. They in turn you get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives, very, very cool stuff that they have earmarked from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Low Duncan McGuire. And we've been going back and forth with this. Let's see if we can recap the Duncan McGuire deal. Duncan McGuire had a deal with Orlando. Orlando had a deal with Blackburn involving Duncan McGuire. Let's phrase this correctly. So Orlando and Blackburn combine on a deal for Duncan McGuire. Orlando sees an opportunity to make some cash. $4 million from Blackburn Rovers plus $2.5 million in add-ons for performance and things like that. Duncan McGuire is in the air, and the deal falls apart. Duncan McGuire's mom unfollows everything Blackburn Rovers that she had followed on any kind of social media. Duncan McGuire sits in a Sheffield, England hotel room waiting for the deal to happen. The deal apparently happens because Blackburn releases the cheesy videos with the puns where he's spinning a soccer ball on his index finger. I think it was his index finger. He's dribbling a ball down a hallway, How about a slam dunk, D-U-N-C, with a question mark, and you see him slam, one of those kiddie hoops and one of those Nerf hoops, and just slams a ball into a Nerf hoop. So it was promoted by Blackburn. Done deal. Then it wasn't a done deal because Blackburn didn't submit the paperwork properly. Blackburn appealed. And now here we are. Once again, with the appeal, the transfer has not been approved. 4 plus 2.5, yeah, it looks great. Coming across the Atlantic, going to the old country. Didn't happen. Then it did. It was promoted. Now it's not. Now it's been appealed. The EFL board will consider the legal case on February 8th, 2 days from now. So Duncan McGuire, this saga has gone on so long, Duncan McGuire has actually had a birthday. I'm not kidding. Duncan McGuire has had a birthday as all of this has passed. Club statement from Blackburn. Has not been approved by the EFL to date due to the registration documents being submitted after the 11 p.m. transfer deadline. Big Ben rings. You're not supposed to do anything, or at least you submit paperwork to give yourself an extra 2 hours. That was done in a couple of cases in the Premier League. And this is from Blackburn. All the necessary signed paperwork had been completed prior to 10 p.m. on Thursday, February 1. However, due to an administrative error, the forms were not processed within the prescribed time. Detailed discussions with legal representatives and the relevant football authorities have taken place over the past few days to try to reach an urgent and positive resolution to the matter. Relevant football authorities, as opposed to irrelevant football authorities. The club's lawyers have prepared the required papers and sent to the EFL board, who will consider the case Thursday, February 8th. Orlando City have allowed Duncan McGuire to remain in the UK pending the EFL board's decision. He'll return to the United States, where he will rejoin his club ahead of the start of the 24 season should his registration not be approved. Should the appeal be refused, then Blackburn Rovers will attempt to reach a pre-contract agreement with Orlando City over the coming weeks to enable the player to officially join the club on a permanent basis when the 2024 summer transfer window opens. The club will make no further comment on the matter at this time. So it's on. Then it's off. In the air. Then it's off again. It's appealed. We've got it. No, we don't. We're heading to the bottom of the third inning here with this. And it really does. It really does make you wonder. It's like, yeah, we submitted the paperwork, but then we had an administrative error. Good blanking God, you people. How? How can you muck this up? And muck will be the word that I'm using. But apparently they've done a real good way of messing this up. So there it is. Duncan McGuire. We're now at the bottom of the third inning with Duncan McGuire. Congratulations to all parties involved. Emilio wanting to know how long the pre-Olympic tournament is. Is it longer than the rest of the planet? Will we ever see Tiago again? I think they're just getting out of group stage, and then we're getting into the knockouts. Also on the board this morning, an opening kickoff from our friends at Agence France Presse, who are usually good at these kinds of stories. Yep, Michael Head says Chelsea had a similar situation with Hakim Ziyech last year, stayed through the season, kind of like with Blackburn and Duncan McGuire. Our friends, yes. So our friends at Agence France Presse had this other story, and this is the other story for opening kickoff. Sevilla condemned a Rayo Vallecano's fans' obscene act early Tuesday after the supporter poked forward Lucas Ocampos's backside with his finger during a La Liga match. Took his finger, hit Lucas Ocampos in the butt with his index finger, and people are mad. Visiting Moroccan striker Youssef En-Nesyri was also allegedly racially abused by Rayo supporters during the game at the Vallecas Stadium. La Liga said they'll report the incident to legal authorities. Ocampos was taking a throw-in during Sevilla's 2-1 win at Rayo Monday when the young fan, this is apparently a kid. The young fan reached out and prodded the Argentine between the buttocks. It might have been an oil check. Sevilla wrote in a statement, our player Lucas Ocampos suffered an obscene and totally inappropriate action by a home fan. Sevilla hopes the opportune measures are taken so behavior like this is not repeated at a football stadium. Ocampos turned to look at the fan and then called over referee Francisco Hernandez Maiso. Sevilla gives their maximum support to Lucas Ocampos, who demonstrated his poise and enormous professionalism despite the unacceptable attitude of the fan who accosted him. Ocampos had said he had hoped the incident would be taken seriously by Spain's football authorities. I hope La Liga takes it seriously like it takes racism and these things. I don't think all Rayo Vallecano fans are like this, but there's always an idiot. See you later, 4-card. We'll be here. I hope it doesn't happen elsewhere, because if it happened in women's football, we know it could happen. I held back because I have 2 daughters, and I hope it doesn't happen to them tomorrow. Rayo said in a statement they were working to identify the supporter, and if he was a season ticket holder, adopt the relevant disciplinary measures. La Liga told AFP they'd reported the incident to the public prosecutor's office for minors because of the fan's age and said police have already identified him. Spanish Top Flight also said they would report the alleged racist abuse to En-Nesyri, who scored twice for Sevilla to take the team up to 15. So yeah, don't poke players in the butt with your finger if you're a kid or an adult. Doesn't matter. Morning, Jarrett.
Don't just we leave players alone when they're on the field.
Yeah,
basically. In general, just like
it
shouldn't have to be a don't do this or that kind of thing. Like just leave them alone. It shouldn't be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yes. So we discussed our buddy Duncan McGuire, who's now in the bottom of the 3rd inning with the saga at Blackburn, where Blackburn has apparently appealed the appeal and the deadline, and it looks like they've appealed to a higher power in the EFL. It looks like the decision is going to be on Thursday. So, at bottom of the 3rd, and everybody's like, dude, read the signs. Duncan, read the signs. Blackburn apparently says, yeah, we had an administrative error and clerical this and clerical that, and how honestly, how interested are they at this point? I mean, you better be really damn interested if you're going to the bottom of the 3rd inning on this thing. You really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
4 plus 2.5, and we're still waiting. And Duncan McGuire is staying. He's in a hotel there, waiting and staying.
It's awkward for him too. We talked about this. Like, I feel bad for him in the sense that, like, he got on a plane thinking it was going to get done. Then it wasn't done. Then it might get done. Now it's not because somebody doesn't know how to fill out paperwork, which is literally their job.
Yes.
Like, it's amateur hour, man.
Yeah, it's been stupid.
Like, from Blackburn. Like, I don't assume any of this is on Orlando.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know, like, Orlando is, like, you're in Atlanta. I mean, it's the thing where Orlando is the easy target because of past rivalry, but I don't, like, unless we miss something, I feel like nothing on this is on Orlando. Like,
yeah, no, this is a team
this is just clown shoes from a team in England who doesn't apparently know how to do the job.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is literally a team with an ownership group, which is like the English equivalent to Tyson's or Purdue's. And when they literally, the image that will always stick with me is when they were getting relegated, fans smuggled live chickens onto the pitch and threw them onto the field. That's what you're dealing with Blackburn.
Yeah, just don't be clown shoes of this.
Yes.
If you're going to, because he's like, John, this is more your territory. And I'm assuming to Maddie to an extent. I don't know. Like, I know, Maddie, you have your fanhods. I don't know if we haven't discussed if you are degenerate in the same way that John is with lower division. in
Yeah,
England.
that's true.
I think John's a sicko about this sort of thing. But it's the thing with the championship with some of these clubs that, like, yeah, you're throwing money at a wall trying to get promoted because of the payday. But that being said, you actually have to have the money to be able to throw it. You have to have the money to bring guys in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
I just feel bad for Duncan McGuire, man.
Yeah,
the kid's got an opportunity to go play in Europe. I don't know, like, what is Blackburn? Where is Blackburn on the table?
Oh, let's find out, shall we?
I didn't know if you knew offhand.
No, but Dell makes the point that Duncan's going to be gaining a lot of weight ordering room service in that hotel.
Let's see. Check the championship standings. Leicester is in first.
Yeah, they're going to blow everybody out of the water with their points total.
That's fine.
Should be mid-table, I think.
They're 18th.
Oh, wow. So they are fighting relegation.
Yeah, they're. What is it? The bottom three get relegated?
It is bottom three, and they are 5 points.
They're 5 points off.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for him, though, because he's got a chance to go play in the championship, to keep a team up, and to live that dream that a lot of people have when they're kids. And now, because of a clown shoes front office at Blackburn, now you're just kind of part of this joke. And that's not to say that Duncan McGuire is the joke. He's just caught in it. He is the house that the tornado of stupid just happened to hover over and decide to make contact with the ground.
Yes, absolutely. The tornado of stupid. I like that.
And then somewhere off in the distance, Bill Paxton's driving a truck, radioing everybody in to let them know. I gotta go. We got cows.
Cow.
What a great movie.
Yes.
But I feel bad. I feel bad for Duncan McGuire because he's caught in this, and hopefully you get a resolution that works best for him as a player, and he can get back to training. Because he's just kind of hanging out, stuck in limbo here.
Yeah.
If the whole thing just collapsed, just send him back to Orlando so he can go get in preseason training and contribute.
Yes.
I mean, this is a guy who's part of a conversation for for getting tons of starting minutes to putting together another amazing year. That if this falls through, go back to Orlando, train, put together another amazing year, and then get potentially a better move next year. No one's benefiting from him sitting in a hotel room ordering bangers and mash, as good as that is.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so right there with you on the whole Duncan McGuire and Dell. Yeah, someone at Blackburn should be fired.
Absolutely.
But they probably have folks who are doing like 98 different jobs, and we'll see what's going on. Amelia, if the transaction details,
Abdu is absolutely right.
Yeah, from there to here, all the British talk would be how Mickey Mouse MLS is.
No, he's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
It would be just condescending nonsense from any of the British papers.
Oh, look at the lovely Americans attempting to try to do something with us British press.
They're trying to sign a player. How adorable is that?
How adorable.
Instead, now we're just sitting here like, hey, man, we got this really fun kid who came up as a draft pick and did really well from a club that's really good at drafting players. And now he's just kind of sitting here, stuck in limbo because y'all don't know how to do anything. So,
correct.
Nice work.
Yes, absolutely.
Great work, Blackburn.
You go.
Unless we find out that Orlando doesn't or to Dell's point, unless Orlando screwed up their end of the paperwork. But the fact that he was already over there and that we keep having these start stops makes me think it is on the Blackburn side.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel bad for Duncan.
Yes.
No player should have to go for this, especially a kid.
Yeah.
Because he's 23?
Yeah, fresh. He's 1 year out of college, has a fantastic year. Orlando's like, yeah, let's make some cash and move him on, and you get stuck in all this crap.
Frankly, I don't think they should move him on for Orlando's sake. If Orlando wants to run this thing back, I wouldn't blame them one damn bit.
You kind of need to hang on to him.
Yeah, I think you hang on to him and run it back because the East is going to be another dogfight this year.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
I think they could be. I think that could be a problem. I thought they were high on my list of clubs that were going into the playoffs of like teams I don't really want to see.
No.
And then, I mean, they disappointed in the playoffs, but they had a really good regular season. And yeah, they've lost some guys. They need to spend some money. But yeah, part of me is wondering, like, why are you moving him on anyway? Unless he wants to go, unless he's like saying, hey, you need to make this happen.
Yeah. Third item in opening kickoff, and I've extended opening kickoff to include this third item. It's not every day that you get a kit alleged. Let's put it this way: an alleged kit leak. The way that that we saw with Atlanta United yesterday, and I say alleged because it's alleged. We have no independent confirmation if that is in fact the new kit for this season. One of the new kit in addition to the standards that we've seen this year. No confirmation that it is the new kit, that it is the third. But there were pictures yesterday as individuals were walking into the Atlanta Hawks game. And they were wearing a very stylish double bluish kind of a thing, kind of like a birthday cake ice cream colored deal that looked like it had a phoenix on it. And the Atlanta Hawks on their social media showed this kit with players and individuals walking toward a camera before the folks at Atlanta United could announce that this may or may not be the kit of choice here in the season. So did not ever have the Hawks, as you so eloquently posted yesterday when the pictures started floating out around dinner time. I've never had the Hawks as a part of a alleged kit leak before.
No, it's funny that the Hawks got to it before EAFC could leak it. Like they were the other ones. Some leaking images out of EFC. But as someone mentioned as well, hey, you know what though? At least you got high def images. You got like really high quality images of the kit versus like somebody grabbing a screenshot of a phone picture taken with a 2006 Motorola Razr of like 2/3 of the kit on the rack.
Mm-hmm.
And the image is shaky and blurry and it's not processing because it's like, 8 megapixels.
Yes.
At least you got something better than that. It is fun to do the leak thing. Occam's razor, I think, if we would like to shave daily with Occam's razor, which I will always recommend, is just to just assume that they just cross promoted, which is fine. It's fun. Yeah. We see this because the Hawks do that. The Braves do it, especially in the postseason, where like they'll have the walkway from the players' parking lot down through the stadium, and like they'll take pictures of the players as they're coming in.
Ronald Acuna Jr. is walking.
Ronald Acuna Jr. can do whatever the hell he wants right now. In fact, he was one of the most fun petty things in the morning was that he was like taking infield, just screwing around, I guess. And was it Bowie's was like, yeah, he's taking infield practice because it's a requirement this year because you had a bunch of people out in LA who were writing about Mookie Betts should have won the MVP because Mookie Betts played some second base and played some whole ass middle infield during the season, and that's what should have put him over the top. And so I'm here for all the pettiness. Ronald can do whatever he wants. He is an absolute joy. And he might be slightly unhinged, which is fine. That's kind of part of the charm. But yeah, you got guys who walk in, and then you can. It's a great way to just casually, let's say United said, hey, here's the kit. I need you got a couple of guys who want to wear this walking in. Which, first of all, congratulations on finding kits and selling kits long enough for this.
Yes.
As a fellow tall human being, warms my heart because, hey, man, you know how hard it is sometimes to find a kit when you're tall. Especially when you're like life tall is one thing. NBA tall is a whole different battle.
Yes.
Where like your shooting guard is 6'8", or sorry, your small forward is 6'8". Your shooting guard is 6'5", which is my size. Again, James Harden is my size. Basketball players are just a different breed of human. Like they're practically a different species. shout out to them for finding kits long enough and making kits long enough for this. But it's easy for the club to go over to the Hawks and say, hey, here's the new kid. Also, Saba and Shishi are going to be at the game tonight. We'll throw them up on the big screen. But you guys want to wear this and show it off? Because as a number of people outside of Atlanta said, it's not the worst way to leak it to reveal a kid. And it's better than EAFC grabbing random bits.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, like I said, somebody on some old Nokia phone or Motorola phone from the mid 2000s taking pictures, and then screenshot and the screenshot and the screenshot, and then it pops up on Reddit. You're like, is this real?
It might be. Morning, Harry. Yeah, Jared is 6'5", and it's a legit 6'5". No, it is straight up 6'5". Emilio is now suggesting that you shop with James Harden.
I don't think that's going to work because I think our price ranges are different. The last thing I want to do is cramp James Harden's style.
Yeah,
I don't want to be responsible for James Harden being like, why is this guy slowing me down?
Right. Exactly.
It's not my intention in life.
No, it is not. Let's see. So you're with us for about another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we've got sound that we have from Saturday in Athens. We may push that back a little bit. We might just do the greatest hits this morning to start things off while you're here. We were getting into Messi and Friends and the tour and the stop at Vissel Kobe, which is apparently being promoted by Iniesta's promotion company. Ain't going to be on TV on Wednesday morning. And Lionel Messi is talking to the press. They're in Tokyo already. The 100,000-mile preseason has made its way to its final stop before they fly home. And Messi and Suarez on the bench. He shows up at a Tokyo 5-star hotel for his second press conference in a week. And so in Spanish, when he was asked the question, and the truth is that I feel very good compared to a few days ago, depending on how that training goes. And if I'm honest, I still don't know if I will be able to or not, but I feel much better, and I really want to be able to do it. So trained later Tuesday, looked fit, running drills, moving at ease, did not speak afterward with the reporters. Tried to explain to Hong Kong fans that it was impossible for him to play with a groin injury. Some suggested he could have just simply trotted around for a few minutes, which would have satisfied fans in a game largely meaningless, except for the promotional value. Messi said, the truth is that it was bad luck that I couldn't play on the day of the Hong Kong match, adding the discomfort continued, and it was very difficult for me to play. Unfortunately, in football, things can happen in any game, that we may have an injury. It's a shame because I always want to participate. I want to be there, and even more so when it comes to these games when we travel so far and people are so excited to see our matches. So Inter Miami's only won one time. They've been outscored 12-7. One of them was when they got blown out 6-1, the second match in Saudi Arabia. The Associated Press reminds us all of assumed risk. Mark Conrad, who teaches law, ethics, and sports business at Fordham, reminds fans that a ticket is for a game and does not guarantee a player's participation. Quote, while it may be true.
We had this conversation last summer when they came here, but carry on.
Absolutely. We have, yes. We've talked about assumed risk since day one. While it may be true that many fans purchase tickets with the hope of seeing Messi, the ticket is to watch the match, not a specific player, unless there is a condition that says otherwise. Or maybe if you negotiate the grant money from the federal government to have the match in the first place in Hong Kong. Just saying. While it's likely true that the pricing and interest was large in part due to Messi's participation, failure to play does not generally constitute a breach of contract. Messi said he hoped to visit Hong Kong again and play next time. Hope we can return, we can play another game, and I can be present, as I do whenever I can. But the truth is that it's a shame that I was not able to participate. So that's the words from Lionel Messi as he spoke at a 5-star hotel in Japan.
Yeah, man, it's all assumed risk, and it sucks. But we talk about this with MLS all the time, how grueling the travel is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you took that and you have exponentially increased the wear and tear of travel. And I get it's friendlies, it's preseason. Y'all ever like? I'm pretty sure some of y'all have. Y'all like for like work trips. Y'all ever lived out of a hotel? Like work trip wise,
Yeah.
it's hard living. Like hotels are nice and can be very nice and convenient at times, but it's hard living, man.
Yeah.
And like it's really hard living when you're like jumping town to town to town to town to town really really fast. I had a friend of mine who did this. We were all working experiential marketing, and it's tough. I mean, it's not conducive for like friendships or family.
No, it's not.
And it's mentally and physically taxing. And these guys have done an obscene amount of travel around the world. And I'm sure when they get back to Miami, they're just gonna want to like sit still, just not move for a while.
Don't talk to me. Don't touch me.
Let me sit down in this chair and just don't talk to me. Just leave me alone.
Absolutely. In the press conference at the 5-star hotel, Fabian Renkel, who's been a part of the whole press tour, he goes, Messi says, quote, "I'm a little tired from this tour. I have a desire to finish up the last game and to return home."
Yes.
Shocking
it's
no
hard. One. They're going to be sick of each other when they get back to Miami. Yeah, probably.
Uh-huh.
You spend enough time even with good friends, and you're like, we need to not be around each other for 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
No offense.
No offense.
So, yeah. But, yeah, they're going to be just physically exhausted by all of it, man.
Yeah. Oh, we got a quote from Bogey Bogdanovic after wearing the kit that was actually personalized for Bogdanovic. He gave him 13. "Me and Clint love soccer, so we just wanted to show love to our soccer team. On whether he knew they haven't been released yet, quote, I think Clint told me. I knew this was the new kit." End quote.
Yeah, well, give it to the Europeans because Bogey, I think, is Serbian.
Yes, I think that's true.
And Clint is actually Swiss, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
So
they
give it to those guys.
They dig their sport, and they decided they wanted to do the walk of the dressing room walk, the walk for television's sake, the walk for social media's sake, and show this alleged possible, probable, maybe kit. So there you go. Yes. So maybe that's it. No independent confirmation, but maybe that's it. Let's see. So handful of minutes to go. Let me, with you, let's get into some of the sound from Saturday that Maddie was part and parcel to as she was in the locker rooms and in the press conference areas and things like that. I will give you your choice, sir. You can either hear from Noah Cobb, Gonzalo Pineda, Brooks Lennon, or Stephen Glass.
Let's go with Noah.
All right. On personal goals or chemistry in the first 45?
¿Por qué no los dos?
All right. So we'll play one and then we'll play the other.
I'm just hoping to just try to build on what I kind of accomplished last year. I mean, I want to, be getting consistent minutes, whether that's first team or second team, just always playing games and always making sure I'm ready that if I am playing with the second team, I'm playing, I'm getting my minutes, I'm seeing the action, so that way if I do get an opportunity with the first group, I'm ready to play because I've been playing minutes. And I think, I want to try to be in the U20 picture this year as much as possible, and then, just try to build on what I did last year.
Together with the team, you got to see more of a solidified first team in the first 45 and the second 45. How did you feel that chemistry was between all of you guys for that first 45?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, I thought towards kind of the middle to later half of that first 45, we started creating more and more chances. I think we started identifying that the space was more towards like down the outside, and I thought Memphis did a good job of shifting in their block and cutting off the inner passes. So we just had to identify where the space was, and I thought overall it was actually decent because we started creating more and more chances.
And you also mentioned a goal of yours is U20 this year. What are some preparations you're doing for yourself to try to get to that goal?
Yeah, I think I was at the camp in Chile with the 22s. I was an alternate for that, but I think it's really just the day-to-day with the club. I think how you perform with your club is what gets you called into the national team. If you're not performing with your club, you're not even getting called in. So I think the focus is on the club, and then if that opportunity comes, it's then taking advantage of it.
Noah Cobb, after the match against Memphis, the 1-1 draw. Noah once again showing that he's the Ed Reed type, Jarrett, that he's more than happy to be back there and lock things down. The calm that's always been there.
Well, you have to be. It's the thing with playing on a back line at that level, especially, is like you ain't the focal point, bud. But he's good at what he does, and I thought he was really good Saturday for them. You got what you wanted out of him, and you got to, and I mean, the whole game as a whole was, I'm singing my swan song for the morning, but you got a really combative, physical, argumentative, and chippy game from everybody. But the thing I took away from all of that was noticing after, during the game, for the first 45, you have Yakamaki's getting ready to fight one of the midfielders from Memphis. In regular season, you would have had a dust up.
Oh, Zachary Duncan, yeah.
Yeah, he and Duncan were ready to go. Duncan might have been sent off in a regular season game. But after that first 45, as they were walking off the field, you saw them say something to each other. Then they both put an arm around each other's necks and just walked off. It was chippy. It wasn't malicious. The whole game, I mean.
Unless you're talking about Marlon.
But Marlon lives that life. He is a habitual line stepper.
Yes.
But you need to have that kind of chippiness and that kind of animosity within the game early in the preseason, because it's the same thing we talked about. The comparison I made afterward was, it was kind of like in American football, it's why you have mat drills like that, and then padded drills, like what Mark Rick used to do, while we were in Athens talking about it. This is why you hit with bats. You don't want to get into the season and have your first bit of confrontation in the regular season to be like week 1 or week 2. You need to have these physical, chippy, argumentative, rough games in preseason. Yeah, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but you have to have some sort of conflict in those preseason games to get you in the right mindset. And if nothing else, to get you used to the physicality, the toughness, and then also being able to control it. Because you have to not get caught up in the moment, which we talk about all the time in those kind of games. You can't let the game control you. You have to stay up for it. You have to be in control in those moments. I thought both teams did. Once the whistle blew, it was kind of like doing drills in American football. They're hitting. Once the whistle blew, it's settled for the 45. Everyone seemed fine afterward, but I think both teams will be better for it. Both teams had stuff they could take away from it. John over at USL Tactics had a really good write-up on his Substack. If you are not subscribed to it, I recommend it. He had a good write-up on it from the Memphis side, because, again, John's covering things from the USL side. Because this Memphis team has had a number of pieces rebuilt into it. And one of the questions for them was speed of the back. And we saw Atlanta try and test that multiple times, especially down the right-hand side.
Yep.
Long balls down the right, because Memphis would clog the middle and leave those flanks out open. And we saw Atlanta attack those. And Memphis recovered nicely and dealt with it. And that's going to be a thing for them, is they're going to have those moments where they're going to have to defend well, because they're going to try and get bodies forward too. They're going to hit long balls at times. They're going to build through the middle. They've got an obscene amount of raw talent in the middle of the field through their midfield. And in USL games, they're going to build through that. And they're going to leave their defense exposed at times, because Stephen Glass is going to get bodies forward. And he is going to try and basically score as much as he can. Yeah, he's going to give up goals, but He's going to get bodies forward. He's going to try and control the game with the ball. And if his defense gets left out, in 1v1s at times, that's a consequence of trying to control the game with the ball and trying to get bodies forward and trying to create problems with a guy like with Pickering, who we saw is still a kid. I don't even know if Pickering can actually drink yet.
He might just be.
He might be 21.
Yeah.
But yeah, Memphis is going to be an interesting animal, and if they're going to be able to handle the speed at the back like they did this weekend, and look, that was no easy feat. Like, we know Yorgos isn't like a speed merchant; he's quick, but he's not a speed demon. But Shande's quick, Saba's quick. If they're going to be able to handle those situations, that's they're going to be okay. And there's plenty they can take away from that. There's plenty Atlanta can take away from it. So everybody benefits from this game.
No doubt about it. You're back tomorrow?
No. I'm back today. We'll see.
Oh, you might be back today. Okay.
We'll find out.
All right. We'll find out. So there goes Jarrett. That's it for Jarrett with the real world intervening. And so Jarrett might be back for the tail end of hour number 2 when we get into the international stuff. Other sound that we have from Saturday that we haven't had the chance to get into. Here's Brooks Lennon about integration with the first team.
What has been some of the biggest challenges with the integration between some of the younger players coming in and you guys, and how well have you seen that kind of progress in training, and especially with this preseason game?
Yeah, like I said, every preseason is a little different. You're going to get a mix of guys coming in and out of the first team. Some guys, training with the twos a couple of days a week and training with us a couple of days a week. So there's a lot of, mixing and matching of players. But Gonzalo's very good at, harping on what we do as a group. And no matter who's in the lineup or who's playing, who's training with us, everyone should have the right mentality, first and foremost, but also understand the tactics that Gonzalo wants. And I think a lot of the young guys have done very well with that. You saw in the second half, we were able to score a goal and tie the game and end in a draw. So super happy and proud of the youngsters and guys like myself that have played a lot of minutes. With the first team, it's kind of our responsibility to be the leaders and help those guys out wherever they need help.
What was one of the biggest lessons that you've learned and the team learned from this game, moving ahead, going to Tampa?
Yeah, I think this specific game was, we got to be ready for the punches that are going to get thrown at us. As long as we're ready for the fight, our footballing ability, like I just mentioned, is going to outclass a lot of teams. So going into every preseason game with the right mentality, like it is, a regular season game, so that when that first game comes around against Columbus, we're ready. We're not pushed back on our back foot, and we want to be on the front foot.
All right, and before we bring in Nick Alifi here for hour number 2, we'll hear from the two coaches, specifically from Gonzalo Pineda, about the development of the younger players and what we've all seen in these first 2 matches against Birmingham and again against Memphis 901, where you see folks like Javier Armas, you see all the young guys, Luke Brennan being a part of the conversation and doing really well. So here's what Gonzalo Pineda's thoughts were after the match with the younger guys stepping up here in training camp.
Development, especially from the younger players from the twos and the academy, from Birmingham even to now. What is it like to see that development as a head coach, from your perspective, seeing those players step up and take charge?
Yes, it's a very good process for me. I say this all the time. Kudos to all the guys in the academies. They do a great job, all the coaches, Matt Lorley, and everyone there. I think Atlanta United has very good academies, very, very good. A lot of talented players, and we are happy to collaborate with them and integrate them as soon as we can to the first team and see the progression. So it's exciting to me having a lot of young, hungry players in the club that want an opportunity, and now they have to earn it. Like today, like the other day against Birmingham, they have to go step by step, trying to earn minutes, trying to earn it, grind it a little bit, and then whenever I can use them, and the process is very good.
Not afraid to use the younger players. Still not afraid to use younger players, especially as they've been stepping up here in the first 2 exhibition games. We'll get you ready for Tampa tomorrow and discuss a little bit about that. These next 2 matches coming up in just a little bit. Stephen Glass, head coach of Memphis 901. We caught up with him for about a minute, literally just outside of his locker room as they were trying to get to the bus and get out of town. We'll try to catch up with Glassy before the season starts. What we want to do here is catch up with as many coaches as we can here in the footprint when it comes to USL Championship, USL League One, and get you ready for everything going on here in the southeastern footprint, here in the SDH footprint when it comes to the season on the whole. Here's a really quick conversation after the match, after the Testy match. We get into the word Testy coming up in just a little bit. Here's our conversation with Stephen Glass, about 1:15.
So takeaways from 30,000 feet about what happened up there.
Great exercise for us, which it was always going to be. There's a danger you can come here and get battered because we're 2 weeks into pre-season, and I know Atlanta's a couple of weeks deeper. Played a game last week, so I'm just really pleased with the lads, the effort they put in, and the workout that we got.
What about the new guys and how are they integrating? I mean, you got some guys in there like Noe Meza coming up from Union Omaha, Nico Brett. Obviously, he wasn't a part of it today, but how are they integrating?
Yeah, they've been brilliant. I think this trip's good for them as well. So we're grateful for the chance to come and play here. It gets the group together. They've been good in training, but always when you go on the road, it's nice. And then we've got a few trialists in here and things as well. So the first half we were probably quite strong. Second half we've got, I think we've got 4 trialists. One still at high school is coming on in a game at that level. So I think we did okay. So it was all right. I'm pleased with the workout.
And it was testy at points out there today. I'll say testy is the word.
Yeah, I think both ways, to be honest. I actually think there was a lack of control at the start, which made it happen. More experienced referee, it probably doesn't happen, and that's why I was speaking to him at the end. But it's not. I told him myself I actually didn't care if we got beat 5-0 or won 5-0 today. I just wanted to get a good exercise, so it's not about that. But
there you go, Stephen Glass after the conversation and the 1-1 draw. We bring in Nick Alifi for hour number 2. Good morning.
Howdy.
So we've been discussing a couple of different things this morning, and you can start your conversation however you wish, because left on the table, Mauricio Pochettino had his conversation with Chelsea. We've got some stupidity down here that we can get into. Manchester United's announced their plans for New Old Trafford, wanting it to be the Wembley of the North, as they say, and some other stuff that's been going on this morning. We've been playing sound that we didn't get the chance to yesterday with Atlanta United and Memphis 901. We discussed Duncan McGuire and that stupidity. And we discussed the Atlanta Hawks perhaps leaking the new kit in their social media posts with Clint Capella and Bogi Bogdanovic doing the walk of the media and being pictured in their Atlanta United jerseys, which may or may not be the third kit this year that the Hawks posted on their social media. So what's on your mind this morning on a Tuesday, since we didn't get the chance to catch up with you yesterday? And when we also talked a little Messi and friends now that they've made it to Vissel Kobe in Japan for a game apparently that's not going to be on television.
Well, I mean, who would have thought that this would have happened, where you have a whole team full of old guys that you've ran into the ground, before the season even kicks off, right? I mean,
who knew, right?
When we see the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
yes.
And for anyone who's under the age of 35, you just probably need to go watch that.
Yes.
The main character, Ferris Bueller, his friend Cameron, Cameron's dad has this mint condition Ferrari in this pristine modern garage. It's a separate unit from the house, and it is just magnificent, right? You just look at it and the car just oozes charisma. You don't drive it into the ground. You take it out, have some fun with it, but you don't go nuts with the car. Miami is going nuts with the Ferrari. They're taking the Ferrari out.
Who do you love? Who do you love?
Yes, they've turned the Ferrari over to the random goons at the parking garage. this is how you could be so short-sighted and say, this is how we build our brand. We get all these stars and we take them all over Asia and South America and it's going to be amazing. And then what do you mean they're injured? We don't understand. I mean, come on, man. You just, I mean, come on, man. You should know what's going to happen here. You got guys in their mid-30s out there, and the injuries you pick up when you're 25 are very different than the injuries you pick up when you're 35. And it's you sneeze and the back goes out. You sneeze and your oblique gets pulled. I mean, it's like an abductor gets sent the wrong way. Look, Miami. If Miami screws their entire season by going whole hog on the preseason tournament, it will be one of the all-time greatest fumbles in sports history.
But, I mean, you look at the Eastern Conference right now, and they ain't the best team. I don't care. I don't care because of all of these test-driven Ferraris that have too much mileage on the tires from the test drive here before the season's already started. There are other teams I think that are going to be better over the span of a season, though.
Well, sure, and that's the problem, is that you have a team that already has more issues than they know what to do. They're like, hey, look, we're going to play Texas Tech football in MLS Eastern Conference. It's just going to be Star Wars. It's going to be nonstop shots on goal. So, I mean, I don't know. I may have tried to invest. I keep a backline player or two. I don't know.
Instead of sending Kamal Miller to the West and Chris McVay to DC.
Yeah, but we've seen what that team is without Messi.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't great, right? And Messi's ability to hold the ball. I mean, forget the fact that it's Lionel flipping Messi. Okay, great, but his ability to hold the ball, distribute cleanly, is the difference between Miami being a very good team and Miami being a terrible team. And that is a knife's edge that they walk on a regular basis anytime that man's not on the field. So, to go ahead and do this kind of ambitious preseason tournament, I get it. Team Messi doesn't want to do a match against Memphis 901. I get that they don't want to do against Colorado Hailstorm. They don't want to do against Tormenta. I understand this, or the Miami FC. But however, you want big premium events. So you take your team overseas.
Yeah.
Build butts in seats, right? And then you have what happened in China happen, right?
Build that brand.
Build that brand, baby. Well, you had butts in seats, all right. You had your star players butt in the seat. Mm-hmm. And you almost had a damn riot in the stands. So I don't get, like, it's just the dumbest thing in the world. And the fact that this is what the path the Moss brothers have elected to go with is just, I would like to know what kind of free trade, organic, conflict-free Drano they're drinking over there, but it's the good stuff.
Class stuff right there. And yeah, so strangely enough, they've been outscored 12-7. They scored 4 of those in a match against a Hong Kong B side. They scored 3 in the first match of the tour in a shootout that was a 4-3 final, and that's it. You lose 6-0 in the other one, and it has not been pretty in this tour of expanding the brand. And yeah, Alex says someone tweeted a cartoon of a skeletal cow labeled Messi looking nervous and exhausted, and a farmer with 15 buckets labeled MLS walking toward him. It might just end up being 15 buckets labeled Inter Miami. It might just be Messi and friends buckets. It may not necessarily be all MLS buckets, considering that when we turn to Apple TV, I think the first or second thing that we scroll to, hey, here's Messi, but
look, ain't nobody coming to see any of those other guys. There's nobody who's paying elevated resale seats to see the ghost of Davis, to see the ghost of Suarez, to see the ghost of any of those other players. Nobody's paying elevated money. They pay elevated money to see Messi, right? So they can go and they can tell their kids and grandkids, I saw Lionel Messi play when he came to America, and he did this stuff. It was marvelous and wonderful. And nobody's doing any of that for any of those other guys. No one. And so I'll say this, as somebody. So when David Beckham first came over, my ex-wife's aunt was a county commissioner in Plano, Texas. So they had access to the Plano seats, like in the box seats, which was right next to the owner's box. So we went, we watched the game, and the way that Galaxy team was constructed was a mess.
Of course.
But I will say that over time, they put a better team around Beckham than what you're seeing right now in Miami with Messi. And I think that if the Moss brothers are looking at David Beckham and they're saying, hey, bro, build this team. And I get where Beckham's mind is at. It's like, he's trying to recreate essentially what, the Galaxy team that he was on, where you have the playmaker distributing, you have a phenomenal goal scorer, then you have, some bits and pieces here and there that can elevate play when needed. That's not the model to win in MLS these days. And it's not the model that is going to be, I think, successful for, let's be generous and say 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, and when I say generous, that means that's like Scrooge on Christmas morning, just chucking money at people, buy the turkey, buy the greatest goose you can find and take it over to Bob Cratchit's house. I mean, that's how generous I'm being with this. This is probably going to be like a 2-year experiment tops.
Yeah.
Last year was year 1. So I'm willing to go on the limb and say this is it for Messi and friends. That the money is, Messi may stick around. The rest of these guys are going to fall off, and it's going to be Messi and whoever trying to, like to keep that skinny ass cow going. But this is bad news bears, man. I mean, how in God's name is this sustainable?
But that's my larger question in all of this. What happens now that you brought this up? Let's go down this road a little bit. What happens at the end of Messi and friends? The Moss brothers are building a new barn.
Mm-hmm.
They're banking on this success to build this new barn to get out of DRVP and K and the erector set that they have in Fort Lauderdale for the new place that's out by the airport.
Mm-hmm.
How do you replace and how do you continue this cycle of interest? And Alex might be onto something here. Messi by design is a one-time thing. There isn't another, but they will bring in a Griezmann. Yeah. What do you do for act number 2 to continue to sustain the hamster wheel in this situation? Once Messi and friends goes, will the Moss brothers continue to just feed money, get me the next big thing, the next big thing, and the next big thing to try to continue to gin up interest and just continue to throw money after money after money once Messi and friends are gone? Is that the cycle that you're going to see for Messi and friends down there in Fort Lauderdale?
Yes. And I think it's going to be like that for what you're going to see is what, if you watch the Beckham documentary, where they tried getting the Galacticos at Real Madrid, and they had one of the greatest. It was an ultimate team in real life. I mean, you had Zidane, Cannavaro, you had Beckham. I mean, you had like Raul. I mean, you had Figo. I mean, you had everybody on that roster, but they weren't wildly successful, right?
Right.
It's only when they got rid of all those dudes that the team won. So I think what's going to happen is you got this year, Suarez will walk after this year. His body won't be able to do it.
Correct.
I don't know what's going to happen with Alba. You know, as far as the rest of these cast of characters, they're going to end up at ground zero again.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to have to rebuild. And I think Alex nailed it with the Griezmann. The problem is that Griezmann's not going to draw near the eyeballs or the butts that Messi does. And this is where there's one thing, and you know, John, sometimes I go on little tangents, right?
No.
I know it's crazy. Relationships are everything, right? Relationships are everything. And that's one thing that Papa Leafy used to tell me. He would say, you know, he would always name drop people. And, you know, I like one day we were just like, Papa, man, why you keep name dropping all these people? He goes, look, because to prove a point, it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Yeah.
Right. And what do they think of when they know you? And so what's happening now is the fans who were there from minute one for Inter Miami have been squeezed out by these insane prices.
Mm-hmm.
Longtime season ticket holders, right? Getting squeezed out. They're paying Messi prices. Now, one day Messi's not going to be there, and Miami's going to have to crater their ticket prices.
Yeah.
And the problem is going to be you have allowed all of these people to find other uses of their discretionary income, right? Like the discretionary spending, rather. The discretionary spending, the money that you go for entertainment, that you have budgeted out for entertainment, has now been put somewhere else. Maybe you took what was going to be your season ticket money and said, hey, honey, I like paddleboarding. I've always wanted to try paddleboarding. You want to try paddleboarding? Yeah, honey, let's go start paddleboarding, right? So they start paddleboarding, and that money that they were going to use for season tickets before they were priced out has now started going to other things. You know, maybe somebody else says, oh, I want to start traveling more. You know, I got a little bit extra cash in my pocket now in my account because I'm not doing season tickets. And then when those ticket prices drop, they're like, do I really want to go back to that? Do I really want to go back to somebody who did not respect me and my dollar at all? No. That's a toxic relationship, baby. You don't want that in your life. You don't want toxic relationships.
No, we don't.
No point in it. If somebody doesn't respect you, and if a business doesn't respect your dime, you don't need them. You don't want that kind of negativity, that kind of toxicity in your life. So this is what Miami's going to have to figure out, which is why it was so insanely short-sighted for them to jack up the prices as they did. Because, I mean, it's insane. You know, I think Jason, you nailed it. Jason said prices never drop. It's going to be hard to walk these price hikes back once he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree. I just don't know how long they're going to be able to keep when they build their new, the new monument to industrialized capitalism out by the airport. I don't know what they're going to do whenever those seats remain empty because that major gravitational draw is no longer there.
Yeah, when they get everything squared away for Flight Path FC, and they get everything. Yeah, Maddie Cruz wants to jump in here on the ones and twos. Maddie, what's on your mind?
Okay, I did math, so fair with me if it's wrong. Since we're on the topic of Messi and friends, I thought I would do a little math. Looking at their preseason schedule, their last preseason game is going to be at Fort Lauderdale. Whoa, I just did not say that correctly. Fort Lauderdale. There we go.
There it is.
They play against the Newell Old Boys Club. That is February 15th.
Yep, Newell's Old Boys.
Newell's, madam.
Newell's. Thank you. I appreciate it. I can't math and I can't talk. Apparently.
It's okay. Look, it's all, we're all just trying to get by. That's it.
Well, I did that math. That's February 15th. The first MLS season, the home opener for all of MLS is when Inter Miami faces off against Real Salt Lake, the 21st of February. That's a Wednesday. They have 5 days to prep for that. And they come back from their big, extravagant world tour. Like, they come back after that game February 7th. I mean, you have to pick the question of how well they're going to play with this whole big travel.
The 100,000-mile color your own adventure book.
Well, not just that, but I think, Madison, by bringing up Newell's, I think you bring a good point to the table here. That is that Messi has to play in that Newell's game.
Absolutely.
I mean, has to play in that Newell's game. The boyhood club, that's the eyeballs are going to be, all over that one. I would tell everyone, and I think this is why the game in Japan is not going to be televised, is that they've already put all the words out there to say he's not playing. He'll come out, he'll shake whoever's hand, he'll wave to the crowd, he'll do a lap, but he ain't playing. And
strange how that game didn't end up on television. They don't have the production capabilities to do that match.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. The satellite trucks aren't working in one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. But I think he has to play in that Newell's game. Has to. I mean, must. There will be riots in the streets in Rosario if he's not playing in that game. So.
Well, also too, he has to play for the aspect of just getting that money's worth, but he also has to play to see how well the team's going to perform in general before that first game, because it's at home against Real Salt Lake. It would be different if it was on the road or if it was at Real Salt Lake. It's at their stomping grounds. They're expected to do well. Will they? Probably.
It's the thing, though, Madison. I don't know if there is expectation around that. I think it is such a spectacle now that Messi comes out there. It's almost like it's almost like a pop concert where the star forgets like 3 or 4 lines, and people just don't care because the screaming's too loud anyway.
Yeah,
there's like, oh, okay, hey, yeah, so it's. I don't think it's going to be that much concern. Now, Messi, I think, to your point, if Messi starts to feel like the wheels are coming off of this, Tata Martino will not be there for that long, and Tata may decide on his own, like, yeah, this is not, this wasn't worth coming back for, and bail. But that team is so poorly constructed, man. I don't know how the hell you do it.
Oh
yeah,
it's bad. Yeah, it's not good. It's strange because I think the perception, obviously, when he came in is obviously he's the GOAT. That's the big thing. But you're looking at everything else. I do think expectations are high for the club just because of the talent they have. But I think this preseason, little road trip that they're doing is really showing people who were really confirmed of Inter Miami's gonna be the top of the East. They're gonna be the freaking God Almighty in MLS now because they have these people. I think they're realizing, maybe they're not. It's almost like you need more than just midfield and forwards. You might actually need defenders. I don't know. It's just a thought. Maybe I don't know. Maybe.
It's pretty painful to. What I'm doing right now is I'm checking to see ages of dudes, and thanks to our friends always traditionally at Transfermarkt for having these kinds of rosters pieced together. If they would actually let me, there we go. See, you do 2 spaces instead of 1, and they sit there and it's like, no, we don't give it to you. But then you close it to 1 space, and then they give it to you. All right, so. Luis Suarez, 37. Messi, 36. Busquets, 35. Alba, 34. Krivtsov, 32. Yedlin, 30. Mota, 30. Gressel, 30. Nicola Frere, injured, 29. Gregory, 29. Taylor, 29. Negri, injured, 28. Quarantine Jean, injured, 28. And then you get to Drake Calendar at 26. So that's what you're staring at. You got 5 dudes north of 30. You got another 3 of them at 30 as a part of this roster. And you decide to go on a 100,000-mile color your own adventure book to start things off to help expand the brand of Inter Miami CF and Messi and friends in Major League Soccer.
Well, one thing is there's names on Miami. There's not talent. The talent days were like 10 years ago. That you have names, marketable names, but I think that's the biggest issue here is that there's an idea that there is talent on this roster, and at the end, that talent, the older you get, the shorter time period you can sustain that talent. Like that, you can do it in bursts, and that's it. Like,
I mean, it takes Luis Suarez what? Luis Suarez admits that he's got to take 2 days off during the week after a match just to rest the engine and make sure that his knees don't explode.
Right.
So he's like, you play on a Saturday night, and you've got a game. God forbid schedule compression, because that's going to have to be something that you're going to have to look at with all 7 of these dudes that are north of 30 and higher. But with Luis Suarez, let's just talk week to week. You get a game on a Saturday night. That means that he ain't playing Sunday. He ain't doing nothing on Monday. So that means Tuesday, he's wandering around again to get ready for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday's a travel day to get you on Saturday if you're traveling, and if you're not, it's a 4-day window, 3 if you're traveling, to get ready for the next Saturday night. And like I said, God forbid schedule compression. And Dell, how much will Messi play at the start of the MLS season? Well, they limit him to help last longer, but then you've got Knicks bringing in the reminder of Copa America and the Olympics.
Yep.
Yeah,
all of
absolutely.
these things piecing together for Messi and others, I'm sure, that are a part of the roster that might get calls up and things like that. But schedule compression late in the year, good luck on that.
Here's the thing, Messi, you know what you have, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Suarez, we have no idea what Luis Suarez is going to be. When it comes to the season, whether he's just kind of lollygagging right now, trying to save himself for play. Kudavatski is injured, right? He's out for what?
Sports
6
hernia.
months?
Yeah. Sports hernia for Kromoski. He's out another 6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks. Sorry, yeah, 6 weeks. So, he is really going to be Miami's savior. So when he comes back, he has to get himself into game shape.
You run.
Yeah, that's going to be it. Yeah, he's going to be your savior. Gressel, I'm sorry, Atlanta. I know that's your boy. He's a terrible defender.
Yeah,
he's an observably poor defender. And
could have told you that after game 2 of the series with Atlanta.
Yeah, and he's the crosses, fantastic, right? Great, amazing. But he's 30. He's not going to get any better. He is who he is at this point.
DeAndre Yedlin's heart is going to explode at some point this season, if not his brain, from having to be on the same side as Julian Gressel.
Yes, and Busquets, 35, unbelievable player, won everything there is to win. Where's he running to? 35 years old. Where's he running to? Over the schedule compression. Not a lot. Let's go ahead and take a look at this back line here. I'm going to give you some names of everyone with a D beside their name.
There you go.
Here we go.
Hit me.
All right. Israel Boatwright, Tyler Hall, Yannick Bright, Franco Negri, Noah Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sidney Khrushchev.
Yeah.
Harvey's not there anymore, right? Harvey's out.
Harvey's on trial with his dad out in Portland.
Yeah. Good luck. Jordi Alba, 34 years old.
Uh-huh.
Ryan Saylor, Thomas Alves, DeAndre Yedlin, Santiago Morales, Ian Frey, and Nicholas Freire.
Yeah.
Are there any names there that make you go, oh man, you just got to get past him?
Striking fear into the hearts of everyone everywhere.
You know, when Jordi Alba gets the ball, it's like, okay, now we have to be really concerned because he's such a fantastic distributor. But getting past him has been proven by even the most mediocre MLS talent to not be that difficult. So, I mean, boat race. This is boat race FC, man. All gas, no brakes. The solid rocket booster from NASA FC. That's about it. It's only going one direction, baby.
They borrowed it from Cape Canaveral, and they're going to do that all season long. We saw in Saudi Arabia that I think it was Al Hilal in the 7-goal thriller that they were just going over the top, and Noah Allen looked like receiver. I mean, literally, he looked like DeAndre Hopkins. He's looking over his shoulder, and he's trying to catch the ball over his shoulder. That's what was happening the entire time. Al Hilal figured it out. Go over the top and have Noah Allen try to chase the dude running down the right-hand side. Yeah, good luck on that happening.
Do you think they realized that if the games were televised, that MLS teams could get an idea of how to beat Inter Miami?
Tape's going to get around.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, even if it's not televised, tape's going to get around, and you're going to have scouts, and you're going to get looking at. Look, there's ways to watch things. I mean, there are these things that I learned about, last week called VPNs, and you're always going to find ways to watch stuff. And I mean, and Nix brings up Drake Callender, and so that's the thing, is that Drake Callender is going to have to wear like hockey goalie stuff. He's going to have to wear all the thick padding and look like National Lacrosse League's like Nick Rose from the Toronto Rock or something. He's going to have to wear all of that padding and go Michelin man and make sure that he doesn't have all these bruises. I mean, I want to take stock of Drake Callender after every match and all the shots that are going to be taken. Literally, if I've got the ball inside the 18, fire away. If I've got a window, go.
That's what you're going to have to do if you're Miami. Miami's going to have to probably go 3 in the back, and they're going to have you're almost going to have like a libero on the 18.
Yeah.
And that's it, because otherwise that's all people are going to do is people will say, okay, great, we're going to go 1980s England, boot it long. Hoof it. And then it's going to be just a track meet to see who can get the ball. But if you run like either a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, and you can really space out that midfield where it becomes a bit more problematic, and you have legitimate wingers who maybe hang back a bit, you're going to force people to try to play through you, and then that's the only way you're going to really be able to slow down that that race to the calendar. But and Michael Head says, I want Miami to fail. This time last year, everyone said that Seattle was going to finish last. I will tell you what, Michael, I completely agree with that. I was one of the people who said that. I said by MLS All-Star break, the wheels would start to fall off for St. Louis, because the pressing style they play, I didn't think they would be able to sustain it. And they did. They found a way to sustain it. And I think that's where
they were found susceptible in the playoffs, because you were facing the same team over and over again.
Yeah. It's the high press is like the triple option offense. When you face it like once a month, it's hard to prepare for, right? Because you have all these other teams that play different ways, and how you distribute the ball has to be different. How you retain the ball has to be different. To avoid playing into their hands. What the difference is with All Gas, No Brakes FC is that they aren't a pressing side, right? So the ball's going to probably be able to be distributed cleanly to your outside backs, and then you can boom it forward, right? So you're not going to have that same level of risk that you would playing from keeper to center back, keeper to outside back, because who the hell's pressing on this roster?
Uh-huh.
I mean, who's pressing out of
Krzyzewski and Noah Allen? That's who's pressing.
right, because Schneider Borgelin, Edison Escana, Robbie Robinson, Corentin Jean. Messi's not pressing.
No.
Suarez isn't pressing. Campagna might put a decent effort moving forward, but without anybody there to close the gaps, there's going to be a lot of space available. No one's pressing you here. So you're going to have time to move the ball into play and then boom it downfield. It's all going to come down to spacing in the midfield for Miami. And if the spacing in the midfield is not all up in the front,
yeah,
it's going to get ugly very quickly. So, 3-4-3, 3-5-2, I think is going to be the way that they're going to have to play going forward through the season, and just possess, move the ball, and take your chances when you can. But somebody better learn how to be a friggin' libero very quickly, or else it's going to be a bad day at the office.
Yeah, or several bad days at the office, especially when your stars aren't around. Possible teams that like to run will fare better countering and bunkering, and teams much less successful. Yeah, and that's the key, is that literally all you had to do is look at that opening match in Saudi Arabia. They're going over the top with Milinkovic-Savic and with Alexander Mitrovic, and they're trying to get it to the right-hand side. Noah Allen is chasing, and the ball's in the corner, and it's up to that guy on the right-hand side of the attack to sit there and get it inside the 18. They did that. They scored, and it was, it seemed fairly accessible. It was an accessible piece of real estate going up against them in this. So tape is out. And, once again, you don't have Benya Kromowski. It's going to be Noah Allen as the youngin who's going to – they're going to point at a youngin and go, youngin run. It's going to be Noah Allen early on in the year.
Yeah, and it's also going to be, I think Dallas really gave you the formula last year on how to beat these guys. If you're going to keep the ball on the floor, Dallas showed you how to do it. And that's really just, by the end of the game, you should all be puking because you're doing like so many damn dead sprints. That's it. It's the only way that's how you have a shot against them when the Death Star is fully operational. But I don't think it's going to be fully operational that often.
Yeah. Maddie, we'll bring you back at the end and we'll talk about what's going on tonight on the network.
Absolutely. We'll have fun.
All right. Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll talk about the beginning of the high school schedule coming up a little later on today. Nick's Kromowski is dealing with a sports hernia, and he's had surgery to deal with it. Facundo Farias out for the year. They've got a boatload of injuries. Kromowski's dealing with a sports hernia surgery, and that's something that you can't sit there and just flip a light switch and go, okay, dude, yeah, you're back to being healthy. I mean, that's something that you've got to get back into playing shape, and you've got to reorient your body. It's like, okay, now I've had surgery, and you've got to get back to full song. It's not something where you can just step back on and run like hell.
Mm-mm.
No, it is an eventual process. Looks like Stian Gregerson and Gigi are not training today. Caleb Wiley is back with the group, so that's the early returns for Atlanta United today. They're practicing today on campus at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground, and then they are leaving to go to Tampa. We'll talk about the two games in Tampa starting tomorrow. No, Gigi got the Hawks hangover, according to Nick's. Was it just me, or in the photo that they released with Gigi and Saba, DJ Crazy Times looks like somebody who's coming across as like, I know something you don't know. I know more than you, and I'm about ready to like burn this to the ground.
Hey, look, I don't just keep that same energy. That's all I'm saying. Just keep the same energy. Whenever if you have this like, kill Bond sort of look, at this stage of the game, I make it just keep the energy. Bring it to the bins. Unleash it there.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be.
Bring the ruckus.
Yes, exactly. Neil Warnock apparently is officially official at 75, the Aberdeen caretaker manager for the end of the year.
I have no sympathy for Aberdeen.
Nope.
None.
Nope.
You have a choice to play. You had a manager who actually tried to play. and Glassy, and said, "Nah, we're too scared. We're going to go ahead and
we're 8th in the table right now, and we're 3 points from being in 4th, and we're going to panic."
Yep. So you have an opportunity to try to be somebody and play your own game, and instead you go, no, we're going to be safe. Oh dear. So I have no sympathy for him. You get what you get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to play hoofball, that's your business.
Yes. "I don't want you to talk, Mr. Bond. I want you to die." Exactly. Yes. Saba is Bond villain, without question. Yeah, he is he's like the dude that'll come after you in the hallway, and you're going to have the 45 to a minute and a half fight scene in the hallway, and you're going to have to use things like key cards and fire extinguishers and doorknobs and all that kind of stuff.
So we've been calling him DJ Crazy Time. Should we change his name to like Goldfinger or something like that?
I'm trying to think who was a Swave Bond
Suave?
Villain? Yeah, who was a Swave Bond villain henchman type person? That's what we got to think about.
I mean, Blofeld was very classy.
But you're looking at Blofeld, and a lot of folks were looking at Gianni Infantino on the weekend, and he looked like a hipster Blofeld, I think was how Badgermon referred to him as.
Yeah, I mean he had Dr. No. Good Lord, largely it was Blofeld, Goldfinger, Dr. No.
Alex says every time Saba scores, he sheds a blood tear.
What was the cat's name who did that in Casino Royale?
Oh, it was
the character's name?
Matt Mikkelsen was the character.
Yeah, it was amazing in everything.
Yeah, Casino Royale. Hang on. Now we've got let's see, Casino Royale 2. I can't believe that's an 18-year-old movie.
God, wow. Still holds it. Yeah, Le
Chiffre. Yes. Yeah, he so maybe Saba's Le Chiffre.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well done. To Kefsi, to answer your question, it is Dimitris Evstathiou. He is the one who is now on the Aberdeen board representing Atlanta United's interests. D came in from the league office and has been there been Major League Soccer office, and he's been with Atlanta United for a handful of seasons. Really good guy, knows the ins and outs of financials and all those kinds of things. So he is now the Atlanta United representative on the Aberdeen board of directors. The board of directors listed as Demetrius Evstathiou, Tom Crotty, Stuart Milne, Zoe Ogilvie, and Willie Garner. Honorary president exists. You have a finance director, a commercial director, a chief executive. Dave Cormack is your chairman. So yeah, Demetrius Evstathiou is the Atlanta United presence on the board of directors at Aberdeen. So that's your key in that. A couple of other things that I wanted to get into here in like the last 20 minutes. Manchester City, and we know about their multi-club model, and Chelsea is trying to do the same thing, and our buddy Todd Bowley and Bowley Clear Lake, they're trying to do the same thing, and they've already pissed off folks at Strasbourg by, the multi-club model there, and so Strasbourg sold their team legend keeper to Nottingham Forest to try to take the job away from Matt Turner. And so folks at Strasbourg are not happy with the movement that Bowley Clear Lake has done. Now, I know that this will shock you, but when you have more than, and I always say this, when you always have more than one reporter on a byline for a story, you know that there's been a lot of digging. And it's not necessarily digging in a good way. Headline, Telegraph, Tom Morgan, Sam Wallace, and Ben Rumsby, 3 reporters. Manchester City must provide fair market value evidence to the Premier League before signing Savio. And they are signing Savio from an affiliated club And apparently it's now going to be looked at over fair market value, expected to be valued by the Premier League to ensure a deal does not circumnavigate cost controls, given that he's already a City Football Group employee. It is unclear what fee City will pay their affiliated French club Troyes, who signed him in 22, then loaned him to Girona, who's also in the CFG empire. He's become an increasingly hot property this year at Girona, who are currently second in La Liga. Bids from other Premier League and Bundesliga clubs have been in the neighborhood of $25 million. City are preparing paperwork to seal a deal. Both UEFA and the Premier League both have clauses in their rule books which apply when teams under the same ownership do business together. The governing body of European football would expect to block any deals between teams that they are deemed rivals. So clubs have to demonstrate fair market value of the transaction to the league's board. One key element of the deal getting the go-ahead will be to value the player for the purposes of FFP. Not profit and sustainability, but legitimately financial fair play, with the league aligning itself with the UEFA assessment. Player would be assessed at book value, which would effectively allow City to amortize an agreed fee across the period of a player's contract. He has not played for Troyes, who are 15th in Ligue 2, still hold the player's registration, spent last year at PSV Eindhoven, played for Girona this year, 5 goals in 23 appearances. He's expected to stay in Spain this entire time. And so now you've got these new rules with loans, multi-club ownership still being finalized by the league, and they're supposed to meet later this week in London to get all of this done. City was among 8 teams that defeated a ban applying to this January on loans between clubs with the same owners. So right now, City Football Group, they know how to play the game, and they are dancing and trying to make sure that the Savio transaction for one club that has his certificate transferred him to another club within the same ownership group will now flip him to a third club here in the January window. So you got City Football Group, Nick. They are on a roll with flipping things all among themselves.
I mean, it's a shell game.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It's a shell game. So
and there are some that are better than others.
There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. Because if you go after just one team of that at the top of the pyramid, you're going to end up getting, they just have an agenda going after us because of this or that. And so you become the martyr, right? So all you can do really is just create Super League. Create Super League and let them go. They're going to find shell games to stay on top anyway, and just let them go do their thing, because it's not going to stop. You would have to approach this like a RICO case, where you go after all the underlings, or charge the entire thing as a criminal, like one criminal conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough political clout to do essentially a world footballing RICO case. And because of that, you're stuck with it.
Nix. Nothing I can do about it. I'm writing a strongly worded letter as I type.
You do that. You write that email.
Write that strongly worded letter. So literally you're going to have these multi-club models, and it literally is Manchester City and CFG. They have, I want to say, a dozen different interests. It literally is moving one to the other. They have perfected this. They really have. All you have to do is look at Tati Castellanos as another member of all of this. Remember Tati Castellanos? Jarrett's Lord and Savior at NYC?
Yes.
Who ended up, as an employee of City Football Group, being transferred to another CFG property. I want to say it was Girona at the time. But strange how that worked.
Well, I mean, look at CFG owns what? Palermo in Italy, Girona in Spain. They have Melbourne City down in Aussie land.
Okay, so it's 100% Man City and Melbourne City, 65% of Mumbai City, 80% of NYCFC, 100% of Montevideo Cité Torque, 100% of Troy, 99% of Lommel, 47% of Girona, 47% of Sichuan Junyu, 20% of Yokohama Marinos, 94.9% of Palermo, and 90% of Bahia, not to mention their city football academies, marketing services, and other subsidiaries.
Right. This is, look, it's a shell game. It's a shell game for talent.
Mm-hmm.
They have fingers in all the pies and all the leagues that allow them to use those entities to hit the brunt, to take the brunt of any sort of transfer fee.
Yeah.
And then then they can move interagency with very little conflict. And meanwhile, these smaller entities are the ones who are going to be left holding the bag with FFP. So for Man City is a wonderful arrangement. For everyone else, it becomes very difficult, right? So in the MLS's case, NYCFC is stuck holding the bag from a cap perspective, but Palermo would be the ones who would be holding the bag from an FFP side, because they're not getting that money back.
No.
So it's, they found the loophole. So you have to treat them as an entire org, one singular org, one organism, or you are going to allow this to take place. Mr. Roper, we have not discussed the leaked kit. I like it.
I'm digging it. I like the Phoenix off the shoulder. I mean, and apparently Clint Capella told Bogey Bogdanovic that, this is the kit. That's why they wore it. And I really like it. There was the other element. Maddie also brought this up. We're talking City Football Group. The Premier League has been forced to utilize, this is from Jacob Whitehead at The Athletic, Premier League has been forced to utilize extra legal help in a bid to get through several ongoing cases. Everton's appeal hearing took place last week, but further profit and sustainability rules cases against both Everton and Nottingham Forest subject to strict timeframes, which the Premier League is not allowed to breach. Tuesday is the one-year anniversary of the Manchester City 115 breaches, and that case might take another year. You have the ongoing investigation into Chelsea of breaches of financial regulations, negotiations over the proposed EFL New Deal, only adding to the workload. And so you've got all of that going on. So the Premier League usually has external lawyers, usually the Magic Circle firm Linklaters. The sheer volume of cases as well means that they've had to add more lawyers to this. All these different cases, they've had to add more lawyers. The Premier League will have billable hours, people. And it's more billable hours than, Del, it is the anniversary of the Munich air disaster. And where did I see there was a gathering of, Sir Jim Ratcliffe attended the anniversary service. And it was the 1958 Munich air disaster. James Ducker with the story earlier today. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Alex Ferguson attended the memorial and the 66th anniversary of the Munich air disaster. Among those present to pay their respects to the 23 people, including 8 Busby's babes who lost their lives in the tragedy that has done so much to shape the history of United. Ratcliffe, Sir Dave Brailsford, Eric Ten Hag, Bruno Fernandes, Alex Ferguson, other prominent figures of the club were assembled beneath the Munich Memorial plaque at Old Trafford. Reverend John Boyers, former club chaplain, master of ceremonies for the 45-minute service. So that was a part of it as well. Also, we have, let's see, yes, David's gone on a rant this morning in the Twitch pitch. Also on the board this morning, as of the top of the hour, and I was trying to figure out the right time to bring this in, and we're going to go ahead and well, why not? We'll bring it in now. Sure, why not? Top of the last hour, it was announced Joseph Martinez is officially signed with CF Montreal. There's a 38-second video of a gentleman who is standing at a high point in the city of Montreal. Very, very beautiful city, by the way. So he's standing at a high point, and I'm trying to figure out, it looks like it's at a park on top of one of the hills that envelops the city of Montreal. He's walking in slow motion through the snow, standing and staring at a lot of the skyscrapers. Turns, flashes the jersey, and he's speaking in French. Tish, he spoke French. So Joseph Martinez, officially official to CF Montreal, according to Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert. 1-year TAM deal with a 1-year club option. 1-year club deal. 1-year TAM deal with a 1-year club option. 9th leading goal scorer in MLS history, fastest player to reach 100. And we always will sit there and wonder what would have been had that really nasty turf at Nissan Stadium not affected Atlanta United the way that it did. But Joseph Martinez officially signing with CF Montreal because they have the promotional video to prove it. 1-year TAM deal with a club option. So we'll keep an eye on Joseph Martinez and what is up with Joseph there in Montreal. So officially official, Joseph Martinez is signed, and mark your calendars appropriately for the matchups that happen. Heading into the elimination stages, we've played a couple of the goals, but Thiago Almada heading into the knockouts in the pre-Olympic qualifiers, 4 goals and 2 assists for Argentina. And we'll keep an eye on Thiago as it goes. And Kefsi, I mean, I have don't know. Yes, Victor Wanyama, Kefsi, is still there. He was on the roster. Yes, and so that will be this to me was the most interesting element of all of this when these conversations started with Joseph and the CF Montreal, probably never to be engaged in being the Montreal Impact ever again. So for Laurent Courtois and CF Montreal, someone needs to play the video in the tunnel, and what I may do is I may find it. But Laurent Courtois has Victor Wanyama and Joseph Martinez on the same roster. And Kefsi, doing fantastic memory service this morning, remembers the scuffle and the near fight in the tunnel, which would have been interesting. Abby's checking out the 280 character app. I know it's still, yeah. I mean, it's a 280 character app. You go to twitter.com and it registers everything. So the domain still exists. He just calls it something different. So we'll see what happens with. I wonder if Victor Wanyama. I legitimately wonder if Victor Wanyama and Joseph Martinez even remember it. I'm sure Joseph does. I'm sure that Joseph might wander into the locker room and go, that dude looks familiar. I can't quite place him. But, yeah, it was because they hadn't figured it out. Dell, to answer your question, no. They do not have a coach yet. Minnesota United does not have a coach. They do have a chief soccer officer. KEA has finally made it to this particular side of the Atlantic, and he has started hanging out with players, introducing himself, so on and so forth. So they've got a chief soccer officer. They still have the substitute teacher. They do not have a head coach. They have the second interim head coach after their initial interim head coach left to be the head coach of the Indy 11 and USL Championship. So, but yeah, Kefsi, it will be interesting to find out if they remember the whole thing. So we'll see. We'll see what's up with. See if Victor and Joseph are asking each other to dance. We'll see what's going on. So they've got a chief soccer officer. They're on their second substitute teacher, and they seem to be cool with it going into the season. I'm going to say it right now. And like I said, you can mark the tape, do whatever you want. Legitimately, I think that that Minnesota finishes last in the West. I'll say it right now. I think Minnesota finishes in the basement. That's just me thinking out loud. But I think that my gut with everything, and I know this is a real stretch. But with everything that we've seen involving a lack of material from Minnesota United, I think they go last. Well, I mean, Derek Dotson would have been closer to a championship. If he'd stayed in Charleston. He probably would have been closer to a title. Let's see if there's any odds and ends here before we go, and any player signings, anything like that. Question posed by Bogert right now. Yeah, situated in a hotel in Sheffield. Signed autographs, both Wednesday and Blackburn. Sent cars to the hotel. Situated at a hotel on deadline day, assuming a move was most likely. Wednesday, fans spotted him, signed autographs. Wednesday and Blackburn sent stuff to the hotel. So Bogert's got an article up at The Athletic. So blanking nightmare for Duncan McGuire. You really do feel for him with everything that we've seen. All the gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go, and what to watch. We're going to avoid the 3 and the 4-letter paper as we always do. Manchester City, we talked about the whole Savio situation. Thomas Partey's days at Arsenal appear to be coming to an end. Premier League club likely to sell him in the summer. IFAB expected to give the go-ahead to a trial of sin bins for dissent and technical fouls from next season, with the FA Cup potentially being the biggest competition to use. We might get more in-depth than that tomorrow. Telegraph, Villa concerned about Ezri Konsa. He's going to miss more than a month with the knee injury that he suffered in the Sheffield United win. Chelsea have moved to poach Todd Klein from London's rival Spurs after the American resigned from his role as their chief commercial officer. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium still doesn't have a sponsor. Does not have a title sponsor on it. Chelsea felt compelled to bring Todd Klein in. Forest may have to hold on to Divock Origi for the remainder of the season, with Chris Wood unlikely to play again before April. Remember, Divock Origi was set to be sent to LAFC. LAFC still has like 18 players on their roster. Divock Origi was supposed to be a part of this. Maybe not. Brentford prepared to readdress a deal to sign Noosa in the summer, but will seek further medical examinations and explanations before pushing ahead. Remember, they had signed Noosa. They'd beaten everybody to the door, but then there were concerns over the knee. Everything fell down. Evening Standard, Fulham not expecting Raul Jimenez back for at least a month after scans revealed the severity of the hamstring injury he suffered against Everton. Yves Bissouma expected back at Spurs later this week for medical checks after Mali's coach revealed he played while suffering with malaria at AFCON. So he played while suffering with malaria at AFCON. By the way, the Mali jerseys are awesome. Separately. First off, you hope for the best with Yves Bissouma, but you played while suffering malaria at AFCON. Oh, boy. Jack Butler not giving up on adding to his 9 caps. Revealed there he spent time with the squad earlier this season when they were in Glasgow. Lawrence Shanklin told Hearts he's not signing a new deal. Dundee United set to sign Northern Ireland international Sam McClellan from St. Johnston. Other gossip and rumor and innuendo from different sources and things like that. We'll recap everything, tell you what to watch, and tell you the rest of the broadcast day here. Telegraph says that Pochettino currently not at risk of being sacked despite 2 consecutive defeats. Abby, thank you for the public service announcement. We'll get into that too. However, the Blues are concerned that sacking Pochettino and paying him and his staff would put him in danger of breaking FSR or PSR, profit and sustainability rules. That's the 4-letter paper, though. Al Nassr want to reunite Rafa Varane with Cristiano Ronaldo. That's from the Star. Manchester United want a fee between 40 and 50 million pounds for Jadon Sancho, currently on loan at Dortmund. We mentioned the Savio situation. Savio's only 19. Spurs are interested in Rafinha at Barcelona, according to Paul O'Keefe. Real Madrid are yet to agree wages with Mbappe, still expected to join from PSG in the summer. Arsenal are set to tie down Tomiyasu to a long-term deal. Fulham making a second attempt to sign Lyon's attacking midfielder Ryan Cherki in the summer after failing with a £35 million bid in January, three-letter paper. Villa reached a verbal agreement with Leon Bailey to sign a new long-term contract with the club. Barcelona sporting director Deco has said that it is not the right time to talk about outgoing Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp as a successor to Xavi. Hansi Flick, learning Spanish, would be interested in taking over Barca in the summer. Nottingham Forest striker Wang Yuzhou has agreed to terms to spend the rest of the season on loan at Alanyaspor in the Turkish league. Newcastle have compiled a detailed scouting report on Amadou Onana over at Everton before a planned attempt to sign him in the summer. Chelsea, and we mentioned Todd Klein. All right. So what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch before we get into the public service announcements and the programming. And Abby, once again, thank you for doing the public service announcements. And we'll post it again to our Twitter feed and everything about the Marshall Islands scarf. $32, 32 plus shipping if you don't want the Abstromobile to drop it by your place. DM me, DM the show, shoot us an email, soccerdownhere@gmail.net, and we'll figure out how to get it to you. Today's programming. Tonight, Copa Libertadores is on BN and BN en Español. You can catch that on Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You get to catch everything going on in CDO for the fans, TIC, all the BNs, Liga 1 Max. I'm sure I forgot Nuestra Tele, Gold TV, all those places. At Fanatis, Jason got me hooked. I blame him. CONCACAF U17's Women's Championship. Remember, Bart Keeler told us yesterday, really the U.S., they just need a point because they're ahead by 6 in goal difference right now for the last game of the world stage and the group stage. USA and Canada, U17's at 1, Puerto Rico, Panama at 4 o'clock on FS2. CONCACAF Champions Cup, the hemispheric extravaganza begins tonight. Comunicaciones Monterrey, Real Esteli, and America, 8 and 10. ESPN Deportes, Leverkusen, and Stuttgart German Cup, Fox Deportes Coupe de France, 2:45. Gold TV Uruguayan Cup at 3:30. Liverpool and Nacional. 2 to NA, simulcasting your CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. ESPN Plus, FA Cup, Plymouth Argyle and Leeds at 2:30. Leverkusen, Stuttgart at 2:45. Copa del Rey, Mallorca, Real Sociedad at 3. Fox Soccer Plus has the Coupe de France. Paramount Plus, very, very busy day. You get the semifinal of Jordan and South Korea. Someone knock off Jurgen Klinsmann, please. Argentine Copa de la Liga, 5 and 7. Sarmiento Defensa y Justicia, Atletico Tucumán Argentinos Juniors, and Rangers in Aberdeen with Neil Warnock at 3 o'clock. Setting the world on fire. Fantastic. All right, Maddie, what's going on tonight at 5:30 and 7:30 on the network?
We have our first high school shows, which is going to be so fun. We got Parkview. Oh, geez. I'm like blanking. What is happening to me right now? Yes. Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Y'all, I can't talk this morning. What is happening? We got Parkview. We got Peachtree Ridge at Parkview for the girls at 5:30 and for the boys at 7:30. Me and John are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Very exciting. So you can watch that or listen to it, not watch it.
Well, you can be there. You can be there in person. You can be there.
You can be there in person and listen to it if you really want to. It's whatever you want to do. We don't judge as long as you watch it.
Yeah. If you're there and you listen, it's all good. And it'll be great to kick off our season once again. I'm going to call the girls match. Maddie's going to call the boys match. It's a bit of a homecoming for Maddie. Go ahead and break that down for folks that may not know.
Oh, yeah. So it's pretty cool. So my stepdad, his brothers, they all played at Parkview like a while ago. And it's also a really fun story. My grandpa, who passed away 2 years ago, he was the voice of Panthers soccer at Parkview. And so it's actually funny. I'll bring the little thing they gave him, but it's a little like trophy type thing that my grandma gave me. And I'm going to bring it tonight, take a couple photos, maybe post that on Instagram. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll be in the same booth that he will have called games in. So that's kind of sick. It's pretty cool story wraparound. I didn't actually know that happened until we were there on Saturday in Athens. So it's pretty cool. I'm very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, the beginning of the high school season, the Tuesday night throwdown on SDH. It's going to be 5:30 and 7:30, separate broadcasts. So we'll come on a couple of minutes ahead of time, roll through everything, get you ready for it. And then 5:30 is the girls' match with Peachtree Ridge and Parkview. 7:30 is the boys' match, Peachtree Ridge and Parkview, with head coach Danny Clint in his 28th and final season as the head coach there for Parkview. And the coach said the brain is there, but the body's not willing. So 28 years, and Parkview is looking for a new boys head soccer coach. And we're going to be there for that. That'll kick things off Friday. Maddie and I will be at River Ridge, and it'll be Roswell and River Ridge. Maddie will call the girls' game because of her conversation that she had on the Roswell side, so she already knows more about them than I do. And then I'll do the boys' match with Roswell and River Ridge. Once again, 5:30, 7:30, Tuesday and Friday. That is going to be here on the network. And once again, we're catching up with Ella Stevens tomorrow afternoon. That'll be rolled over onto the network in a 1v1 with her time at Gotham. Get to find out what it's like to be a part of a super club in the NWSL. Hopefully Dylan Butler can join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Nico joining us on Thursday. And we've got some interviews that we are looking to tape to promote the Blast-Off battle in Huntsville. So we're going to be catching up with some folks there. Jack Collison will be catching up with us on Thursday afternoon. We're going to play that interview lead in on Friday morning. It'll be Jack Collison at 9:05, 9:10-ish. Then our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30. Get you ready for the weekend tomorrow. We've also got a preview at Atlanta United because they'll be in Tampa. And the Tampa extravaganza continues, 2 matches in 4 days down at Al Lang Stadium. Now, Abby, doing the public service that she is, message SDH if you want the Marshall Islands scarf. And like I said, I'll post this to, or actually I may have Maddie do it because she's the one who knows where her picture is, and post it to all of our social media. That once again, you can pick up the Marshall Islands scarves. You can message us here locally, domestically, and it's 32. If you want us to ship it, 32 plus 5. If you want Abby to deliver it, straight up 32. If you're outside the driving footprint, let us know. DM the show, DM me, email us, soccerdownhere@gmail.com, and we'll get the scarves to you because we got them, and we're trying to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands. And if you look on the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation website, you'll notice somebody there that's very, very familiar. So there you go. Once you've paid, you get a link to fill out a Google form so we can capture the info for in-person delivery and shipping so Abby knows where she's going, because that would be kind of important because when she's trying to deliver things. But how's it feel to be an international celebrity, Maddie?
It feels great. It feels great. We had took those photos and I was like, oh, like maybe they'll use some of me in them, but I didn't think it would be like as many as they did. So that's pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. Me and Liz had a great time doing it. It was a lot of fun. So
Absolutely it is. And so we'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning, and we'll talk stuff. It was a great conversation today. We kind of got into Messi and Friends. Not really a surprise there. We got into the New Jersey possibly, probably for Atlanta United. So it might have been an unintentional kit leaked by the Atlanta Hawks and the Hawks players to find out that there might be a Phoenix on the third jersey for Atlanta United. Very, very cool stuff. So once again, Maddie and I will join you from Parkview in the Big Orange Jungle tonight, 5:30 and 7:30 for the beginning of the high school season on SDH. Don't forget to download the SDH app through our friends at Spreaker and listen to us at soccerdownhere.net. So for Maddie, for Jarrett, for Nick, and for me, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us once again here at SDH. Since it's the end of the show, mucho plati, y'all play it safe. That means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again a little under 22 hours. We'll see you tonight at 5:30 in Parkview.